Hey guys, and welcome to another episode here on the Learning Droid. In this one we're going to be just looking at the colouring of Elliots owls. It's using watercolour inks from watercolour felt tips, mixed with a bit of water and colouring with a paintbrush. If you use the felt tip directly onto the wood, you tend to get a lot of bleeding, which is where the ink runs along the grain of the wood. You also tend to get a very harsh colour, which I don't particularly like. And if you buy watercolour inks or watercolour dyes, wood dyes, it'll cost you a small fortune and you'll have far too much for most projects, unless you're doing a very large project. In this case, I prefer to use a small pack of watercolour pens, because you can get the whole pack for about a tenner, 10 to 20 quid, and it gives you a nice range of colours and it gives you plenty of ink to do projects with. A little bit of water in a glass dish and a little bit of little glass dish to take the ink. And as you can see, all you do is put the ink on with the felt tip pen, mix it with a bit of water and colour it in, just as nice and simple. A little bit of spare cloth to clean off the glass sheet in between doing different colours, so that you know you've got a nice clean colour, because you don't want to end up with murky brown, unless of course you're doing brown. I decided to go for a nice bright appearance, because of course it's a set of colourful owls for a kid's room, so I wanted to do a nice bright multicoloured owl appearance. So I went for some pinks and reds for the mummy owl and a nice green and yellow for the baby owl, and then for the daddy owl I decided to go for brown and purple. It's a really easy way to give your pyrography a bit of a pop. I find personally, if you use actual paints, that you end up, the paint becomes the project rather than the pyrography, because it overlays the top of the wood. You can't see the wood grain anymore, and often it can overlay the pyrography where it runs into pyrography lines, because of course the paint will just overlay whatever it touches. So I much prefer to use a coloured ink or watercolour ink, which will actually seep into the wood. You can still see the wood beneath it, you can still see the wood grain, and while with big open expansive areas you will get a bit of bleeding along the grain, actually the pyrography lines tend to cut the bleeding, tend to stop the bleeding, because they cut the grain, so it'll actually catch any bleeding. So I quite like this as a way of colouring pyrographies. And then once I've done the three owls, I was umming and ahhing about whether or not I should do the wood, and I decided also to do the branch. I was also umming and ahhing about whether to do the eyes, but I decided to go ahead and do the eyes because it just sort of finished it off. I know the family this is for quite well, they're friends of mine, and the father works very hard, he works in security. So having the father owl look absolutely shattered with black eyes and stubble, it just made me smile. I'm a very cruel person sometimes. If you're wondering about the music in the background, it's from CC Mixer, which is a Creative Commons music site. It's used under the Creative Commons license, and it's something called Bubble Life by a guy called the Smiling Cynic. And as you can see, just a simple bit of brown, tiny bit of black, and all done. So let's have a close-up and let's see. There you go guys, that is the finished project apart from varnish, and I'll see you again next time.